now recognize Ms. Jackson Lee from Texas, 5 minutes of questions.
I thank you for yielding, and let me thank Ranking Member Well for a very important hearing. I'm probably going to take a lot of time reading the transcript, having been delayed in my district, but I wanted to come in the room, first of all, to express my appreciation that this hearing is being held, because I've been in discussions in my district where I've heard, and media commentary, that Congress has no interest in regulating or understanding AI. I want to go on record for saying that we as members of Congress have been engaged in task force. I'm a member of the task force led by a bipartisan group of members. I know that the ranking member and others, we have been discussing the cruciality of AI and how we play a role. It is not always good for Congress to say, me, me, me. I'm here to regulate and not ensure that we have the right roadmap to go forward. So, Ms. Stamos, if I have asked you questions that have been asked and answered, forgive me, I'd like to hear them again. And in particular, let me start off by saying you mentioned in the last page of your testimony that it is important for policymakers to adopt nimble policies. This is something that I am very wedded to. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm very wedded to, because AI is fluid. It is something today, it was something yesterday, and it'll be something tomorrow and then the day after. But nimble policies and safeguards in collaboration with the private sector, how would you recommend we implement that? And in that, would you please use the word, should Congress, is there a space, a place for Congress to jump in and regulate? Again, this is a fluid technology that is moving faster than light, I would imagine. But let me yield to you.
Yes, Congressman. I think you made a very good point about being flexible here. My suggestion on AI regulation is to do it as close to the people it's impacting as possible. So the people you can learn from what not to do here would be Europe, right? So the Europeans, in that the European Parliament believes that effectively every problem can be solved by regulating the right 5 American companies, right? And the truth is with AI is, while it feels like 5 or 6 companies are dominating it, the truth is that the capabilities are actually much more spread out than you might tell from the press, because of open source, like Mr. Swanson's been talking about, and just because of the fact that my Stanford students build generative AI models as upper division class projects now. That is just something they do in the spring to get a grade. And so what I would be thinking about is—
These are students who have not yet become experts.
Right. But I'm saying, like, they go out into the workplace and they go necessarily work for an OpenAI or a Microsoft or a Google. They can go work for an insurance company, and the way that they will build building software for State Farm in the future is gonna be based upon the basic skills that they've learned now, which includes a huge amount about AI. And so my suggestion is regulate the industries that have effect on people about the effects. The fact that it's AI or not, if an insurance company makes a discriminatory decision about somebody, it is the discriminatory decision that should be punished, not the fact that there's some model buried in it. And I think it's not going to be effective to try to go upstream to the fundamental models and foresee every possible use. But if it's misused in medical purposes, if a car kills somebody, if a plane crashes, we already have regulatory structures to focus on the actual effect on humans, not on the fact that AI was involved.
So how would you reach AI? What would be Congress's reach to AI, where Congress could say, on behalf of the American people, we have our hands around this?
So where you could in those cases is, I think one of the things that's very confusing to people is, where does liability accrue when something bad happens? Is it only at the end, or is there some liability upstream? So I think clarifying that is important. And I do think, like the EO said, having your hands around some of the really high-end models to make sure that they're still being developed in the United States, that there's appropriate protections about that intellectual property being protected. I think that's important. But there's not a magical regulation you can pass at the top of the AI tree that's going to affect all of the possible bad things that happen at the bottom.
Ms. Moore, let me quickly get to you about the deep state, or the utilization of AI in gross misrepresentation, being someone else, fraudulently such and dangerously such, that impacts individual lives, but also national security.
I think that as Congress looks at AI in general, and the fact of the matter being that AI has been in place for a very long time already, I think that the AI Human Bill of Rights that sort of outlines some of those areas where we've not necessarily given due care to individuals in terms of their ability to move within the world without all of the quote-unquote algorithms making all the decisions about them. I think that fair and trustworthiness is critically important, and that industry has to regulate itself in that it really needs to explain how its models make decisions. I believe that the ability to prove that your AI and your model is not predatory is an important part of trustworthy AI. And I think you have to start, as Alex said, where the individual is most impacted. And there are a number of use cases. There have been tons of groups convened for the purpose of collecting this sort of data, and it shows up in that AI Bill of Rights. I think it's a good starting place to think about disparate impact. But it's not that the algorithms need to be regulated, it's the use cases.
So it's if you have a pipeline, it's not at the top, it's down at the ultimate impact. Let me thank I have many more questions, but let me thank you for this hearing and thank both the chairman and the ranking member. With that, I yield back and I'll dig in even more. Thank you.